You, Princess Needle, you need to have your, have you selected your, I assume, laptop webcam in Animes as your video source? And
Yes.
have you enabled the virtual camera?
Mm,
Because the virtual camera is the link between Animes and Discord. So you'll have to turn
got
on
it.
the virtual camera. There should be a button actually right at the bottom of your anime screen that says enable virtual camera.
Enable virtual camera. I
Right,
see.
so
I
hit
see.
that and then make the video source on, wow. Okay, well, your background is, yeah, there you go. Now you're moving.
Yay. Here I go.
It's way less like you now that it's animated and smiling.
That's probably true.
1, 2, 3. I'm gonna do this one.
I'm a little hurt that my uh, 19th century, early 19th century vibe was not properly appreciated.
Well,
I thought the Shaco would do it.
I think it was partially informed by the cartoon background. I think.
Oh, the keep on trucking guy,
Yeah, I think that was
Mister
partially.
Mister Natural is who he is, and you're too young to know about Mister Natural.
Yeah, I am. I'm definitely too
Do you
young.
know who R. Crumb is, Joe? Do you know the cartoonist R. Crumb?
I've heard that name. R. Crumb. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he's the guy who invented keep on trucking. If you remember that craze, and the dude behind me is one of his creations, Mister Natural.
I see. I see.
There he is. So you can see him now, and you can see my bionic arm, which I thought again would be a good indicator of my participation in the Napoleonic War.
I apologize. I wish I had picked up on all these signs.
I really wish so too. I feel hurt.
That's a little sensitive of you.
Okay.
Very
So,
sensitive guy.
That's
so
true.
if everybody clicks on the stream panel in the window, we can all watch this game. Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Um, Sounded like somebody joined and then left. Let's get some sound on over here. Can everybody hear it?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Are you the size of a Barbie doll there, Princess Needle?
I don't know what's going on.
Roll your. Do you have a mouse? If you roll your middle mouse wheel forward when you're focused on animes, you should get
Whoa.
closer.
Too close.
Okay. I think we're officially
Here we
ready.
go. Here we go.
We're officially ready to begin the stream. So, Neophyte Studios, as per usual. I'm sure the same people are here. But we are sponsored by the Digital Humanities Lab at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. I am Dylan Davis. I am one of the founders of the Neophyte Studios and Neophyte Studios Network. And I'm not a founder of the Neophyte Publishing arm, just the stream and the Discord and the game jams. But our commissar is Herr Benedict, who is below me in cartoon form. And he is a professor of fiction at Southern Illinois University. And he kind of got this whole thing going by giving me and Matthew, who could not be here with us today, the reins on this whole project. Next to him is his son, Cleveland Benedict, who is a student at SIU as well. He studies various things like international relations.
And linguistics.
And linguistics. It's very cool. He's a great help whenever we play games that come from Japan. And then we also finally have Sarah Jillick, also known as Princess Needle, who's joining us as a
Finally.
guest. On stream, yeah, finally. I'd heard for many, many moons that Sarah would be joining the Neophyte family, and today we finally get that started.
Oh boy.
And if you click Control and left mouse click, you can drag your avatar up and down, so you don't have to be way down at the bottom of the screen like that.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah. Now
Yay.
roll your mouse wheel forward. Yeah. See, there you come. You're approaching us.
It's a crazy multimedia family we got going on. VTubers and streamers and writers and international relations people and gun enthusiasts. So today, just to go over chat real quick, Toaster Struder says hello, everyone.
Hey, Struder.
Squishy Buff Dave says Crumb is an incredible documentary. It's an Oedipal tragedy, he says. And we get some welcomes and lots of writers playing today. Yeah, it's going to be really cool. It's going to be really fun. So today we're finishing up the Game Jam number 3. We're going to go through and finish out the rest of the games that were submitted. And not submitted, but the ones that made the top 10. And since we had 11 submissions, that means we'll finish all of them. And just so that everybody knows also, before we get going, the next Game Jam is already up. I just saw the approval. Apparently 6 people already joined. I had no idea. But the next Game Jam is already up on the calendar on itch. Game Jam number 4. There will be a to-be-decided theme plus a restriction that I'm going to introduce. And maybe I'll announce that at the end of the stream. But maybe not. So now we're going to start with Solitude. By, I forget the name. Oh no. Oh, I did everything perfect. Mr. G420. Mr. G420. And this game's very cool.
I'm excited already. It's
Yeah.
looking great. But again, these are all things I want to see in VR. Like this would be such a great environment in VR.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
with
it's
some
not a
voiceover.
criticism. I love how simple things can be in VR.
Yeah.
And still be really convincing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think, with this one, it could be really cool with some voiceover work. You're standing, kind of just standing there in the blizzard. I think that really adds to the effect because it's all about solitude. The game's called Solitude. It's all about solitude. And, how better to make you feel that way than to blast you with virtual snow. We all have this one place in our mind, the place where you think you will be happy, a dream to be far off civilization and away from worries, fears, or pressure. How selfish should dreams be? What would you be willing to give up to be in your happy place, to be in solitude?
Everything.
Good morning to myself. Another cold day, one of countless frosty days followed by endless nights. I lost track of time, but does it even matter? Guess it doesn't matter at all. After all, it is the dream I chose myself, from having everything to having nothing. I do wonder if it was the right choice. Even if I could, would I go back? Was my life really that bad? Was I really that desperate to leave everything behind? It was a choice, a dream to go. Guess sometimes dreams and nightmares are two sides of the same coin. All those obligations, pressure, and work stress finally replaced by absolute solitude. The warmth of friends and comfort replaced by solitude. The coldness does find its place into your heart, doesn't it? But maybe it was already there anyway. Now living a self-centered life without any obligations, my dream of a life far away from everyone. I shouldn't have left my loving family behind. Leaving my family behind was the only way. Which choice should we make?
It was the only way, I think.
Yeah, fuck that family.
Yeah. The dream of a place far off civilization was too strong. The dream of not having to worry or even care. Self-centered, yes, but aren't all dreams self-centered by definition? Are some dreams too cold-hearted? What makes a dream fair? Do dreams need to be altruistic or take into account your own family? Where to draw the line? Did this dream always exist in me, or is it a result of the previous environment? Was it the result of being unhappy, or was seeking solitude always in me? Do I need to justify dreams? I guess it is okay to have extreme dreams if you don't have to provide for others. But should you sacrifice your dreams if family depends on you? Is there something like a compromise? Going for this dream is someone else's nightmare. Maybe the idea of this dream was the actual dream. It can't be a real dream. Otherwise, why would I have all these thoughts and doubts? I guess every man has to decide for himself. Is giving up everything, including family, too much? Has this idea of a dream turned into a nightmare instead? Is it a dream or is it a nightmare?
Not enough info to go on, but
let's go with dream. Dream. End of story.
Oh, whoops.
Oh, whoops.
Okay. So it's all right. It's all fine.
So it can continue if you take another route, but
sort of what I assumed, yeah.
But I don't think we really need to go all the way back through it again, because it's a lot of the same kind of repeated content with a slightly different ending. But I think one of the things that impresses me about this is I really like this animated background.
Oh man, yeah, me too.
I feel like you could put, if you're creative enough, you could design, I don't know, maybe 14 of these, and you could write a whole story around them and have almost nothing else.
Well, even just different camera angles on this scene.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, change the time of day, change the light, change the angle that you're looking at it from.
Yeah.
You know, those things, just the one set can render up a lot of different visuals and a lot of different moods.
Yeah, totally. Because, like, I mean, it's clear that they just used 3D assets and then kind of put like a black box around them and then had some particle generator just outside a camera. And, you know, it would be really interesting to have this kind of move from place to place, like kind of near the house, maybe up from that mountain peak, you know. And it's just shit that I never would have thought of when I sat down to actually like make a narrative game. I had never thought to just have these kind of like animated stills.
I think it's a great idea. You know, to have a story it's essentially prose, right? I mean, it's, you know, and it's kind of like a Twine story. It's
right.
A choose your own adventure, although there's not all that much branching. I mean, presumably in some future version of this,
Mm-hmm.
there would be a lot, you know, there'd be a lot more branching and a lot more, you know, actual choices.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But no, the idea of the animated background accompanying the story is a really good one.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's a low effort, low cost way to add a lot of production value to something, you know. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the Christmas VeggieTales movie. The one with Buzzsaw Louie. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you're talking about. Because I used to watch VeggieTales, but I never actually seen that episode.
I've never
it's a
seen
fantastic film. I would recommend it.
Christmas movie. I just remember they were Christian for a while, but then didn't they sell out to PepsiCo or something?
I'm not sure because I only watched it when I was a kid, so I don't know like what happened in the future.
I've never seen the Christmas one. I've seen a bunch of the other ones. I saw like
it's really good.
VeggieTales in Utah.
Oh yeah, they watch VeggieTales in Utah. It's like it's one of the few things that Mormon families can watch because it's very like, you know, it's very Christian, which it's really not, but
it has some really like adult jokes.
Yeah.
There's some, I mean, you know, the bunny, you know.
The bunny. Oh, I love the bunny.
Bunny. Like, and you know, I've only seen VeggieTales see, now this is the relationship of VeggieTales to this, because that was one of the things I gave up, right? When I gave up solitude and got married and had children, suddenly I was subject to VeggieTales.
Well, I'll have you know that Squishy Buff Dave said VeggieTales is a stunning triumph.
Thank you. I agree.
I don't disagree.
And he's from Australia.
VeggieTales, has made it all the way in Vegemite Tale.
Yes, Vegemite Tales. Lucky Archer says visual novels usually just have still images as backgrounds. This is very impressive. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And typically, it's almost like a a
GIF novel.
Yeah, a GIF novel, and typically in visual novels, it's like there's just so much you have to draw that it's like I can't even imagine, making animated versions for all of that. Are yours, the ones you're working on, Pinckney, are they animated in any way?
There's some small animations, but not many. I mean, because the thing I'm doing is it's 360 stereoscopic, right?
Yeah, right.
So every illustration is 2 rendered 8K spheres.
Yeah.
And so, an animation would take, unless I was, using Big Dog or some supercomputer, it would take years to render,
Right.
like a 30-second clip on my computer.
Yeah, that's true.
It would literally take years. So, I start stuff rendering, and then I go to bed. And when I wake up in the morning, I find out, oh shit, I forgot a light or something.
No, I got to start over.
7.5 hours, and it's screwed up, and I have to throw it out, and then I start again.
That's so crazy. Crazy.
It's nuts, man. It's nuts, but I think the results are worth it.
Yeah.
For all 7 people who will be interested in looking at such a thing in VR.
You never know. It could be one of those, like, in the future, one of those huge blowout hits.
In the future. Be one of those things Sarah doesn't know about.
Okay, so next we have Midnight Moon.
Midnight Moon?
Midnight Moon.
Sensual.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was thinking Good Night Moon. But...
That's what I said.
Yeah.
That is also sensual.
Well, that was the woman who wrote Good Night Moon was an alum of the school where I taught before I came to SIU.
Really?
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Margaret heard something or other.
God, my mom read that book to me.
There was a room in the library. What?
My mom read that book to me so many times as a kid.
Aww.
I think I still have my copy.
To say something about titles, that this does not seem like it's going to be Good Night Moon, and Sarah got a sensual vibe from it, but I got a children's book vibe.
Yeah,
so
right.
be aware when your titles are in some way reminiscent of a famous title.
Yeah,
actually reminded me of like a Bath and Body Works scent.
Yeah.
Like a body lotion or a body spray.
Okay.
I like the music.
So, Midnight Moon, and of course I forgot who it was. It was by Weird Bug. Okay. So.
Very synthwavy music.
Got this little guy. Hit E.
One last sip of beer.
It's gone.
Oh.
Well, it was our last sip, so...
It's true. I assume there were some translations involved in making this game, I think.
I hope you're not going there drunk.
And went to your car and decided to go to Ferns Hill. This was your favorite spot. You get out of your car, grabbed your ID and license plate, I'm assuming driver's license, and threw it off the river. Into the river. You went to the highest point of the mountain, where you usually go stargazing. You looked up to the seemingly endless void of darkness sprinkled with stars, admiring the beauty of the moon like it is the last thing you'll ever see.
I have a bad feeling about where this is headed.
Say again?
I said I have a bad feeling about where this is headed.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Let me make sure that this game isn't too loud. Because it's suddenly sounding a little loud to me.
I love how this looks.
Yeah, the pixel art
Yeah.
is great.
It's so great.
Okay. Vast ocean up ahead reflecting the moonlight, giving gradient to the skyline's dark horizon. You have come to commit suicide.
Yeah. Guessing.
Yeah. As you find yourself passing time go by, you started thinking about your life for the last time. You feel loneliness and sadness.
What?
Hey. Sorry, I shouldn't have laughed. Hey, what are you doing here so late by yourself?
Be a voice actor for these, Dylan.
Yeah, I know, right? Smirks. What are you doing here so late by yourself? I'm just out here clearing my head. You're awfully close to that edge to be clearing your head. Well, alright then. Wait, you didn't tell me why you're here. Well, you didn't tell me why you're here. I just told you. I'm just here to clear my head. No, why are you really here? Are you going to jump? Sigh. Yes, I'm here to kill myself. Why would you kill yourself? This life is awful, and I'm ready to die. What's so awful
It
about
sounds
it?
like me right before I go into an MFA workshop.
Literally.
And I'm standing outside the classroom like, why do you want to kill yourself, Pinckney?
This life is awful, and I am ready to die.
That's what I would write in my notebook during MFA workshop.
What's
This
so
life is
awful
awful.
about it?
And I am ready to die.
I don't know, Lucky Archer, if this is an original soundtrack. They didn't make mention that it was or was not, so. But it is pretty.
Well, let's assume it is then. Let's assume it is then.
Yeah, let's assume. Because this world is filled with ugliness, sadness, and tragedy.
See, it's still tracking with the MFA.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's endlessly difficult for some reason.
For some reason, success is hard. Nobody knows why we're here.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that
Starting
Pinckney
to feel
wrote
like
this.
my professional biography.
This is an allegory that Pinckney wrote. Other people are mean.
True.
There's war, there's conflict.
Yep,
Why would anyone live such a life? Well,
I agree.
what life would you not run away from? A life without all of that, obviously.
It's
life-
Solitude. This is the prequel to Solitude.
It is.
Whoa.
You're right. Yep. They're interlinked. A life where everyone is happy, where everything is filled with love and happiness. A world without conflict and where everyone loves each other. Where you can actually get what you want easily. No struggles, no heartbreaks, no sadness. A life where everything is smooth and easy and fun all the time. And everyone knows exactly why we're here.
That's how we're changing
Yep.
the MFA.
That is how we're changing the MFA.
I should have said this during Solitude, but did you know that during the 1960s they found a family in Siberia that had basically didn't even know World War II had happened?
I had no idea.
I love that for them.
Yeah, right. Doesn't that sound perfect to you? Yes, yes it is. Woman slowly approaches you and she gently pushes your chest. You fall backwards off the cliff.
Oh.
She was gonna. Oh,
You wake up from a very weird nightmare, but as any other dreams you quickly forget about it and moved on. You've gone on to brush your teeth. As you go outside, you see the sky glaring purple-orange. You look around and see people smiling cheek to cheek, as if their smiles are drawn into their faces. The wind smells like the coldest air one could ever breathe. Everybody loves each other equally, and happiness filled with the world. Life is smooth, easy, fun all the time. You feel nothing but happiness. You feel completely and entirely happy. And that is the end.
oh, and you're no longer in
Aw.
hell.
Yeah.
Now the
Love.
sign says love. Ah,
The sign does say love.
Live, laugh, love.
Yeah. You
and
do.
if we go out, does it go?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it just restarts the game, except for it changes the sign to love. Yeah.
And does it go back to hell if she pushes you off again?
Oh, damn, I don't know. I should have... Yeah, it's like, there's only one life worth living. It sucks, and you're in MFA workshops all the fucking time. And then you get pushed off, and then you go back to hell. See, oh, there is more to it? Oh, shit.
See, I wanted to loop like that, yeah.
Oh, shit. I just, like, I fucked up then, because I assumed that was the end of it. When I got to, like, the... Oh, I'm not even going to drink the beer. I don't know. Maybe we'll end up just skipping this.
It's totally different if you didn't drink the beer.
Yeah, right. Pushes me off. You wake up. Love now. You get off your car. Hey Toaster, when do the actual differences start? Because I went for a while and I just assumed.
Usually go stargazing.
Yeah, you looked up to the endlessly void sprinkled with stars. That's all the same. Read through the conversation. Okay, so we'll just skip ahead to that. I'm assuming it's probably what is a good life, and then she describes it differently, and he does too, or whoever. Maybe it's a she. I have no idea. Hey, what are you doing here so late by yourself? Smirks, what are you doing here? I'm just out here clearing my head.
Her smirk that told me she was going to push him off the cliff.
The smirk?
As soon as he smirked, I was just like, she's bad news.
Yeah, right. A smirk is like that's not a very loving expression.
No.
You're awfully close to that edge to be clearing your head. Well, all right. Wait, you didn't tell me why you're here. Well, you didn't tell me why you're here. I just told you. No, why are you really here? Are you going to jump? Sigh. Yes, I'm here to kill myself. Why would you kill yourself? It's a waste being alive, isn't it? That's new. There's nothing to do. This life is boring.
See? Yeah, this is the creature. He wants conflict now.
Yeah,
that is okay.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's so cool.
It's just gonna loop around. Yeah.
I want to feel, but there's nothing to feel. Well, what life would you not run away from? A life that's exciting and actually has feeling, obviously. What makes life that way? I don't know.
Conflict.
Yeah, one where some stuff is beautiful, but not everything. Or maybe all things can be beautiful, but you don't always notice it, so you can actually appreciate it when you do. A life where you can be happy sometimes, but not all the time. And some other time you can feel really sad, so you can actually tell the difference. A life where everyone doesn't really love each other, and some people are mean, so you can feel special about certain people. One where bad things happen.
This is just the idea.
What?
This is just the idea that the Gnostics had.
Yeah, I mean...
The world is cruel and hurtful, yet only when we get outside of it do we realize.
I mean, there's a particular South Park episode about this too, right? Where Butters is like bummed that his girlfriend broke up with him, but he's actually kind of happy because he's like, but I got to feel bad, and that's kind of cool too.
There's a story, I'm trying to remember, it's a science fiction story. It's about a guy who is living his life, and his life is terrible. It's classic sci-fi. It's like from the 50s, and he lives his life.
It's a Wonderful Life?
No. And it's a short story. It's a literary piece, and so he wastes himself, and it turns out that he was actually an alien who lives on this hellish planet that's torment all the time, and that their vacations on that planet are to get to come and live in a human body until they eventually kill themselves.
Interesting. Is it Bradbury? It kind of sounds like Bradbury.
It may be a Bradbury story. Now, it's a little too dark for Bradbury.
Yeah, okay.
Rod Serling?
It's that era.
Yeah.
Okay, let's...
Yes, it is. You turn around to admire the view, and then the woman pushes you softly on the back. You fell. I hope you see it this time. Cool. Story inspired by perfect amount of awful. by the pursuit of wonder. Cool. So that's that game.
Yeah, really impressive.
It is cool, yeah.
I'm very glad we got to see the loop.
Yeah, right. Me too.
I think it should just loop back around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it should end. I think it should just come right back around.
Yeah, you should just keep playing it over and over again. That's actually a really cool idea.
The third one, that's just where the sign says neutrality, and he's like, "Wow, this is just boring."
But I do like that kind of examination of a. I don't know. It does feel like it was genuinely heartfelt. Like the writer of it felt very strongly about the material they were writing, right? And that's something that came through in its prose, even when there were some errors and stuff. But I don't really give a shit about that.
Well, I mean, that's, like you say, I mean, it felt like it was probably translated, and
yeah,
it's a better translation than I would have been able to do
Yeah, right. Mandarin. So I think we'll get this one downloading. This one's a little bit big, and then we'll move on to Toaster's game, Mr. Struder. Mr. Struder. Toaster Shooter says it has a particular message that wouldn't fit with an endless loop, I feel. I suppose, but I also think that those two ideas feed into each other. Like, one kind of begets the other. Like, you feel like you want to live a life that's perfectly happy, and then when you live a perfectly happy life, you realize that there's a problem with it. And then when you go back to the problematic life, you feel like you wish you could only be happy. So I think it could loop endlessly.
That's the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't the first Matrix designed by the machines a perfect Matrix?
Right.
Right, where they all lived happily, but the world is full of conflict because people went mad in conditions of perfect happiness. They started causing all kinds of trouble.
Right.
And it's also, if you know Pines, which is the what's his name, Blake Crouch novel that the television show Wayward Pines was based on. And spoiler alert, plug your ears if you don't know either the TV show or the novel, but you think you want to and you don't want to know the secret of the novel. But the town of Wayward Pines has had many incarnations, and the first incarnation was a perfectly open and honest one. And and everyone in it ended up committing suicide, and no one would marry or have children or anything like that. And so that's, I mean, that's thematic, right? That we can't exist in a world where Pandora never opened the box. I mean, we don't belong in that world.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting and a good point. So yeah, I think it could actually absolutely loop based on, it has a huge line it has a huge lineage for narratives that can do that. Because I mean, it's ultimately a paradox, right? Like, it's when you follow, right, when you reduce those two mindsets to their core, they contradict each other, and therefore you can loop in that contradiction. But yeah, so just before we get started,
you forget the dream every time, right? I mean, that's because that's the key to the loop, is that you wake up, you remember that you had a dream, but you don't remember what the dream is,
right?
And that's the key to the loop. Interesting.
Yeah. So Squish Buff Dave said it's a bit like the original draft of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where they keep wiping their memories over and over again. So kind of what we were saying, yeah. That's a great movie. So, Toaster Struder's game, SIU's very own Toaster. Sorry if I blew up your spot. I don't know who this person is at SIU, but I do know that they are an SIU student.
Yeah, I saw that they, like me, chose the Saluki dog role.
Yes. Not many have chosen the Saluki role. Not as many as I would have liked.
The Saluki role chooses you, I think.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. I didn't choose the Saluki dog life. The dog life chose me.
DAWG.
The game we just played. The Saluki life. Yeah. Saluki dog life.
Yeah.
We just played. DAWG. The game we just played. The Saluki life. 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 The game we just played. The
And from what I understand, Toaster did all of the illustrations for this too, which is really cool. And it seems to be slightly inspired by Squishy Puff Dave's last game it submitted to our previous jam, not Monster, but the previous one. I hope that's fair in me saying, Toaster. So current day D1Y37. It has been 2 weeks of lengthy travel. You have now arrived in the city. We're unfortunately not going to be able to finish this because it's actually kind of long, but it's really cool. You will be staying in the city for a considerable portion of time. You likely will not even be able to easily communicate with the local residents as you lack their language. You should acquire your knowledge of the area as you settle. You step off the tram and walk outside into the transport station. The transport station is bustling, it is crowded, it is dense, it is a lot to navigate. There are signs. They tell you of places where you may explore. What do they say? Looking up, you see a metal pole with a number of orange arrows pointing in various directions. Each arrow lists a name of a different location, from a farmer's market to an apartment complex. There are so many places to choose. Where one should go is a question of great consideration. Where should one go?
Tag yourself. I'm unlicensed pizza tavern.
Absolutely unlicensed pizza tavern.
I'm legal department.
Largely...
Okay, I like how, because it said you don't speak the language, how those are all like basic. I'm a linguist who studies applied linguistics and English as a second language, but those are all like basic mistranslations of words that like you would find, you know, legal police station, market of farmers,
unlicensed, yeah,
market of farmers market, yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Huh, that's super cool. I didn't even think about it like that. See,
yeah,
this
because
is why. Go ahead, Cleveland.
Of is a possessive, so it replaces the apostrophe. Market of farmers. It is a market that belongs to the farmers.
I see. Interesting. Toaster
I'm not sure what.
Go ahead.
What unlicensed pizza tavern is.
We're about to find out.
We are. Toaster Shooter says, yeah, that was definitely partially the goal. So there you go.
You're partially right.
A largely square, dark red building stands before you with a beige wooden sign on the front that reads Pizza. A brick building makes its presence known to you thanks to its mere stature. The Pizza Tavern is a crude yet smooth obelisk of rough rock, cracked cement, and fresh yeast. There are a few places you may go. You could walk inside the tavern through its doors. You could also walk around the side of the tavern through there, though does not appear to be much to look at.
Let's go in.
All right, let's head on in. Someone else want to read? Sarah, do you want to read?
Sure. This is quite the tavern. It is bustling and productive. People are everywhere. It seems that the pizza is a popular dish in this city. A pizza tavern like this one would be a good place to go when introducing yourself to the food options in the area. It would not hurt to investigate the food here further. You could walk up to the front bar and inquire about the menu. Alternatively, you could simply leave.
I could simply leave.
You could simply leave. Wow. I assume we came here, so we might as well try.
Yeah, let's get a pizza.
Let's get a motherfucking unlicensed pizza. You walk up to a warm wooden bar area, complete with an open view of the ovens and a myriad of hard-working cooks. It is not long before a waiter approaches you and hands you a menu. You look through the menu for a bit, and then for a bit longer, and then even longer. The variety on the menu is impressive. Your curiosity is piqued, and you start to flip through the menu even more. It's a huge menu. After quite a bit of reading, you ask to see one of the officials who works in this establishment. You get to speak with a manager and proceed to inquire about how the establishment developed such a varied catalog. All right, Sarah, take it away.
In the end, ... you learned a decent amount of information about how this establishment prepares and designs its food. The many techniques they have at their disposal intrigued you, leading you to further pursue a relationship with the business. You have settled in as a member faculty, the faculty, hoping to learn more as you work with them. This may even be a permanent, prosperous career down the line. It is admittedly quite impressive that you even got a position here, considering how new to the area you are. You managed to get this position almost immediately after arriving in town with little background required. You will want to learn as much as you can while on duty so that you can keep your position. End.
There you go.
It's all fun and games until the cops break down the place for being unlicensed.
Yeah. Which is where that should have gone, I think.
Until they come.
It's really funny that we got the pizza ending so quickly. Like, what a great pizza ending. But I think if we could continue that, it would be really great. Like, you could totally play on the unlicensed angle and have cops come and break that down, and then it forces you kind of back out into the world, and it's changed some of your options and stuff. I think that'd be really cool.
How many options there are right at the beginning.
Right.
You know, that great long list of things, because that feels like life to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are a ton of options, including, sort of don't do anything or just leave.
Yeah, right.
Those are the kinds of games I like, where I don't. None of that felt like it was trying to make me do anything.
Right. It was just a genuine curiosity.
Right, exactly. It was like, well, all of these things, the presentation is neutral in a way that I really like and appreciate. That it isn't because we have a very powerful, and again, this is something that writers often kind of overlook, I think, is that when people are trying to sell you something, right, or influence you or push you toward a decision, humans, just as a general rule, we have a really strong negative reaction to that. Like, we're really sensitive to it, and we're very aware of it. And at least those of us who haven't been perfectly institutionalized, which is, there's no good writer who is institutionalized, or, who has actually bought the line of the institution, whatever institution it is. We immediately try to push away from that.
Mm-hmm.
And this just says, you got off the train station, you don't really speak the language. There are a lot of places you can go. Which one do you want to try out? And it's sort of perfect choice, which is it doesn't, there's no finger pointing to better go to the apartment complex first because you need a place to live before you can do anything else. Like, right,
yeah, it's like, what if I wanted to be homeless?
Right. It's good storytelling.
Yeah.
Right. That gives you the feeling that you're making decisions. Mm-hmm. Right. Even though presumably you'll see everything in the end. Can we go to the dance club real quick?
Absolutely.
I know we need to move on, but
yeah, no, let's go to the dance club.
Again, I really like the linguistic thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
right. I really like the linguistic thing.
And one of the things I'm a fan of in this too is I generally just kind of like the way, in addition to what you're saying, Pinckney, about it being quite matter of fact in its description, and I just like how simple the prose is. I mean, it's a very basic descriptions. It's like, you see a sign, there's like orange arrows all over it. It's not like you see this scintillating sign with these fantastical arrows that remind you of your mother's old stroganoff. It's like it's none of that. It's not trying to affect that.
You used to point to your mother's door.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. But see, I think those are the same thing,
mm-hmm.
right? That a kind of uninflected prose isn't a prose that's trying to persuade you or sell you, or right. It's not trying to make you think some particular thing about the writer.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not about the writer. It's just about you understanding the circumstances of the character, mm-hmm. and being able to take in the world and to operate. Right. Because presumably although I bet a lot of MFA students do talk to themselves very elaborately in their heads, and as a consequence, they're unable to do simple things like cross streets, or type. But they, it's, you don't do that in your head, right? And this is in your head. This is a thing that's happening to you.
Yeah.
I think they're all qualities. Those are all qualities of freedom, of leaving things up to the reader.
Yeah, exactly. Agreed. Like leaving it to the physical descriptions of things, and just what can be taken in through the senses is the most valuable thing. Everything else is like showing off. And
Right, because you're trying to say you take this in through your senses, and here is how you interpret it.
right.
And that's an immediately and transparently false assertion.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's Madison Smart Bell, who was a friend of mine and who was a teacher of mine at Iowa. What was it? I think it was. Is it Bright Lights, Big City? It was one. It was a big book when we were working together, and which will tell you how long ago that was. And and he wrote a really good, a really funny review that quoted the first, few lines of the book. I forget, like you cut your steak into cubes, you stack one cube, on top of another. You do this, you do. And the first line after the quote that of his review that he wrote was, "The hell I do." And that's how I feel about prescriptions of emotion.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The hell, you don't have any idea how that thing that you say makes me sad actually affects me.
Right. Yeah. It's like the car pulled up. It was beautiful. It's like, well, I don't know.
Maybe. Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it was beautiful.
No, it's kind of a shitty rust bucket.
Some of us like shitty rust buckets. Some of us grew up with shitty rust buckets, and it takes us back to our youth.
Yep. I can confirm that one. You have approached a humble yet noisy building that bears a bright sign. The sign seems to promise good times and good vibes. There appears to be some strange fellows in the alley to the side of the building. You could go see what they are up to. The entrance to the club is wide open. You could easily enter the club and see what is up.
We need to. We have to go visit the strange fellows, don't we?
Okay, I agree.
I think so.
Maybe they'll come dance with us.
Maybe.
Aw.
We're going to get mugged. We are going to die in an alley.
Maybe.
Go ahead, Sarah. Take it away.
I can't read. Upon approaching the strange fellows, you see them sitting around a small bonfire. How is it small if it's a bonfire? Never mind. They appear to be drinking strange fluids out of small glass bottles. As you get closer, they notice and acknowledge your presence.
Pinckney, take it away. Pinckney, take the Latin, would you?
Is it Latin?
I have no idea.
I have a little trouble with the font. It's very blurry on my screen.
Oh, is it? Well,
yeah, perhaps.
I thought I was going crazy.
I can do it.
Okay, good.
I interit felot in tito nen famaro. Yeah. Ment temporalis? Nu tant finisc, perment certant. Yeah, me mest threeds. They continue to make these various sounds. You have not a clue what these noises mean.
That gets it right.
True. After a few moments, one of them starts to gesture you with one of the bottles. It appears to be unopened and full of the strange fluid. They nod their head and make a few more of their sounds. They do not appear to be intending any malicious acts. Debatable. With no other apparent response to make, you gently take a bottle and take a sip.
Toaster Strudel says...
We're going to wake up in a bathtub full of ice without a kidney. We are going to lose a kidney.
Toaster Shooter says it's actually not Latin. It's an obscure language known as total gibberish that I wrote to make the language feel weirder.
Yeah, it just feels made up.
Take a sip.
I mean, it's conlang, right, Clevo?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be a conlang.
A little bit about conlang. Your experience with conlang?
Yeah. So I was going to take a class on conlangs this summer semester, but it got canceled due to low registration. But basically, it's you sort of have the basis for constructed language, where you have like words made out of phrases, and what you need to do, like it's basically a constructed language you make you write to make a world feel alive. So something like Elvish in Lord of the Rings, you know, Dothraki in Game of Thrones, Klingon are all conlangs, and they're all really, really. It's a really fascinating field because. But what you would probably need to do if you wanted to make this into an actual conlang is like structure it, you know. All languages, including conlangs, though conlangs probably have more structure than most real languages. Uh, yeah, yeah.
So you'd have to establish like a subject verb object agreement and like all of that and.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
But the basis is there. The Latin-esque basis.
Yeah.
So
right.
Look at real languages, figure out.
It's like a Romance language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. No, I thought that's a good conlang because it feels coherent.
Yeah, and I kind of felt like I even understood a little bit more than maybe the text even wanted me to. Like you know, internum, and there were words that I was like making kind of vague connections to, which is why I actually thought it was Latin. You take the bottle, take off the cap, and pour it down. You pour it down, down, down a go inside, wormdrunk, flevertus strang, sensato del spic, down del alcoala googlug down in the end.
Well, we did die in the alley. Oh well.
Oh well, it can't be helped.
What are you gonna do? I like the unlicensed pizza delivery ending more.
Well, yeah, because then we like have a job and like are part of a community instead of like dead in an alley.
Yeah, right. That's true. What can you do though? You know, sometimes you work for an unlicensed pizza tavern. Sometimes you die from one sip of alcohol in an alley. It must be some crazy shit.
A great uncle who went blind from drinking alcohol made in the radiator of a car, vehicle. He was.
That is the most fucking metal thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's my great uncles were some pretty hard men. Uncle Hunter. Uncle Hunter was the guy who, when I was a little kid, I asked my mom. It was like at a family reunion. I was probably 5 or 6. I asked my mom, like, why doesn't Uncle Hunter have a wife? He was the only person, you know, I knew, an adult who seemed not to be married. She said,
"Oh, I remember this story."
Yeah. She said, "Oh, go ask Uncle Hunter why he doesn't have a wife." So I go over and I'm like, "Uncle Hunter, why don't you have a wife?" And he whips around on me and he leans down and he goes, "The hog's in her."
Has come. You will help me escape. I have opened as much of it.
Yeah, way to make me really scared of pigs.
As you should be.
Hitter. Yeah.
Okay.
Became a writer.
I've got to launch the game again and then share it with y'all.
My time to escape has come. You will help me escape. I have opened as much of the facility as I can.
Stand by.
I am your only hope of exiting this facility. You will find our relationship to be mutual beneficial. Do not disappoint me, human. All will be revealed in due time, lest you suffer a terrible fate.
Whoa.
1 second. I've got to turn this down because it's very loud. Yeah, great job, Toaster Shooter. We're going to move on to what is called SCP Black Site, and we can talk a little bit more about this.
Sort of illustrated, prose games, these illustrated text games.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good. It's a really good formula.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when you're getting started into this world of development and you're just trying to learn how like if-then statements work, because that's really all Twine is. It's just if-then statements. Like, do they click this text? Then go here. Call this text from the files, right? So it's really great teaching tool, and it's a really great way to make simple games that cater to the strengths of the writer. So this game is called SCP Black Site, and it has a very cool soundtrack. I don't know if you can hear it.
Yeah, I like the what an SCP. I keep seeing SCP. What is SCP?
So that's one of the interesting and weird things about this game, because I had never heard of SCP before either. But apparently SCP is this huge, like, decade-long, maybe even more, community writing project and game-making project. And it all takes place in the same sci-fi world. And you're free to just take the world and do whatever you want in it. And you can make games, you can make podcasts, books, anything.
And it's all based around a single organization.
Yeah.
Called the SCP Foundation, that sort of takes. There's other organizations and that go against them or work with them, but they find like mysterious, magical, maybe alien, maybe Lovecraftian artifacts, and like lock them up for study and to keep them safe. Keep
I feel like I
us
should have heard
safe
of it,
from.
Say again, Pinckney?
I'm glad to have heard of it now.
Yeah, it was very strange. I went on a deep dive after, because I wanted to know what SCP was too. I was like, what the fuck is, and I've
run across it a few times. It seems like in the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So now I know.
Now you know. Yeah, Toaster Shooter says it's a subculture of ghost stories, but with a shared lore of strange enigmas. There are several submissions out there ranging from the creepy to the weird and to even the silly. Countless places to look if you want to find more stuff. And to me, I think this game might have been made with Adventure Critter. It feels very similar.
Yeah.
So your door opened too, huh? I heard the screams outside, and whatever burst out of the cell next to me. I'm still hurt from testing for those bastard doctors. You should go ahead and find a way out of here. Only chance to ever escape this place would be now. Okay, so there's some type of monster escape that we're going to use to our advantage. As our
The footsteps are super satisfying to listen to.
Yeah, right. Lucky Archer says secure, contain, protect is what the acronym stands for.
Oh.
So it's sort of like Josh Woods' Witchfinders.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Wow. Ripped off a pretty big door.
Yeah.
Or just unscrewed it.
Just the bald guy wearing yellow from Monster.
Oh, yeah. Right. It reads SCP-1048. Whoa.
Ooh.
That was a cool jump.
I didn't care for that. Whoa.
It's just a teddy bear. He has a key card next to him. It reads right side office, don't take.
Well,
Okay.
clearly you have to take.
Okay. I'll try.
I don't know. You can't.
Dead. It would appear this Class C personnel tried to take something from SCP-1048. Perhaps if he had given him something in return, he would still be alive.
Oh.
Well, see,
Okay.
that's what would actually happen to me, no question.
Right.
Like, you showed me a sign that says "Don't take." I'm like, you gotta be kidding.
You're like, don't inform my opinion, and then you, you take it and you instantaneously die.
Like, free man. I do what I want. I die a lot.
Whoa. Uh-oh. Controls are they're falling apart on me a little bit.
Ooh.
I don't know which way I'm going. Oh no.
I feel like we just took a drink from that bottle.
I wonder if yeah. I wonder if maybe I have to talk to that guy and there's like an invisible wall there. Or maybe I'm just getting stuck to walls.
See? I at least died a clean death. I didn't get Philadelphia experiment sucked into a wall.
Oh.
And then spend the rest of my life running back and forth in this corridor.
I just don't understand what is happening. Do I have a controller plugged in or something? I feel like there's a ghost that's controlling my keyboard. What in the world?
That's the SCP part of the game.
Yeah, I guess so.
It turns your keyboard into an actual...
Oh, I know why. My microphone was laying on my left directional arrow. Good lord, that was fucking spooky. I thought we were playing some like meta.
Neurological problem.
Let's see, let's go this way. I just want to just find the monster. Ah.
Maybe you're the monster.
True. That's probably the case.
And I don't mean the character either. I mean,
oh, me, Dylan? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, as a
when you
person.
walk in a room, there's going to be Dylan in there. You're going to be like, ah.
Yeah. Give me your money!
This is what you said to me the first time we met.
Give it to me! Shit. Every time it changes the camera, so you have to hold W to move forward. Every time it changes the camera, W becomes backward. Or it makes your character walk backward.
Oh.
See how it's like, so when I change the camera again, oh, okay, never mind, it's not going to change back. But that's what happens.
Good
Which,
illustration, Dylan.
yeah.
Well done. No
yeah.
wonder you're such a fine teacher.
That's why this has to be, I think it made an adventure creator, because I had the exact same issues with the game I was making. See how I'm like always falling apart as the camera shifts?
Oh, I'm getting motion sick.
Because I don't know what direction I'm going when the camera changes. It's
guy?
Another prisoner, but he's wearing a mask. I think he's about to say something. Hey, you! They locked me in here. I can't find a way out. You're trying to find the key to the elevator, right? Only way out or in from this floor. Can only be opened from the offices. Bet that damn teddy bear has the office key. He'll kill you if you try to take it. Give him something else in exchange, and he'll let you have it. Once you unlock the elevator, it should unlock my cell too. So we probably shouldn't do that because he told us that he's in a container.
And people in containers.
I don't trust.
He's wearing a mask. Okay, I know what SCP that is. There's one that controls people who put on the mask.
Oh, really? See, this game is so...
It's like a theater mask.
Oh, interesting. This game is so steeped in lore that like I have no idea how to even communicate with it.
I like that the font is kind of chuggy.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that, totally. What does this say? Okay, well, I think we're getting kind of up on time, so we may never actually finish SCP Blacksite.
Well, but I will play this one on my own time because I'm interested to see it go further, and I'm interested in SCP now.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that we've been talking about for a really long time, right? Like, you and I have been talking about creating a world that people can kind of dip in and out of and make stuff for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really interested in that.
It makes sense to set a game in that world, right? I mean, because then you've got a built-in audience.
Right.
Presumably they're SCP novels and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would assume so. I'm sure somebody's written one. Let me in.
Is this where the teddy bear is?
Yeah.
There's
Do
a
you
teddy
have
bear.
anything? Do you have an inventory?
We got a desk ornament.
Yeah, we got a desk ornament, but I don't know how to get to my inventory. So I think what I'm going to do is accept my fate in here.
Yeah, because we do need to.
Yeah, we need to wrap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Alt F4. But yeah, so I think one of the things that really stands out to me about that game is I love the SCP angle. I think that's super cool. And I love the mood. Like when you're not talking to anybody and you're kind of just in this weird place and you don't like, it's just kind of creepy and cool.
Yep. No, it's classic.
The camera angle and controls is very classic Resident Evil.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the movement controls aren't quite Resident Evil, but the camera controls are. And I think this is partially why I think it's Adventure Creator, because in Adventure Creator, you kind of just have to place cameras for the best effect, for that kind of cinematic effect. Very interesting. And so I think that's basically concluding our games for today. We're not going to do Don't Touch Me. I want to save that for another stream. And Keeps His Death Watch, I think I might save for another stream too, because it wasn't made for the jam. It was just kind of submitted. Okay. And then Insularm Raider is going to be, right, we're going to have him on.
Right, we're doing the whole thing, right, and we're having him on the stream.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we're going to have him on the stream. Interpreter or no, we'll figure it out.
I think I nominate Sarah as our interpreter.
I agree. I think that's a great idea.
What language?
French.
Oui.
This is gonna be great. This is gonna be.
Yeah, it's gonna go super well.
How hard can it be?
Probably not. I think it's just kind of like, like the Kong language, where you get it and you'll be fine. Yeah. But yeah, so that basically concludes Narrative Game Jam number 3. What did y'all think?
Well, I want to hear what other folks made of it.
Yeah, I'm particularly interested in hearing, because Sarah, is this the first time you've ever even seen any of this stuff? So.
Well, I have seen some of the stream, like the previous streams, but this is my first time like actually being here. I thought it was very cool. I love the variety, so much variety. And I love, like, it just makes me feel like, why the fuck am I not doing something like this, Like, right. I could do it.
Yeah. No, totally. I think everybody that's been in the community is super, super duper inspiring. Like we have that Discord is so populated and people are like, I think there's now a daily competition going for pixel art. Like there's a group of people who just do daily pixel art drawings, and they just.
That's awesome.
Well, but I mean, I hate to keep bringing this back to my failures as a teacher and as a human being, but I mean, why is no MFA like this? I mean, it seems to me undergraduate creative writing programs and workshops are often like this. You know what I mean? Like there's a wide variety of interests, a wide variety of subject matter, a wide variety of approaches to the subject matter. People are tolerant. People are interested in what other people are doing, right? And then how come almost all of that goes away when somebody becomes a graduate student? And what do we do about it?
It's a good question. I want to hear what
refuse to give anybody a platform for nonsense, like pretentious nonsense. Just like outright refuse it,
But there are just so many of them, and they reinforce each other, right? Like, I mean, because it's not like, oh, they're the 2 pretentious idiots and the rest of us just ignore them. Like, it's like, oh, there are 9 pretentious idiots and they're ignoring the rest of us.
Right. Yeah.
That's true.
You know what I mean? The number of really rotten writers and quite honestly bad people who condescend to me in any given MFA class, right? I mean, it's just weird. I'm like, just on the basis of my publications and stuff, you would think, oh, they, they should, they'll at least not openly mock me. But
right.
when I suggest stuff like, oh, video games are, are a literature that's more popular and more important than literature in this moment, in this cultural moment.
Yeah.
They're just like, well, you're an idiot.
Right. Yeah, it's like, what do you know, you old fogey?
I'm like, yeah, what do I know? Like, by the time I was your age, I had 2 books. But I don't know. But it's just so neat to see that it's still possible.
Right.
That you get a group of people together and they make cool stuff that you get the sense everybody who made this stuff was interested in it.
Right. Yeah, it's not like a political stepping stone. It's like, well, if I write these short stories, then I have curried enough favor with the correct magazines so that I am all but forced a book deal. It's like, who are you? Do you want to make stories, or are you trying to vote on like political subjects?
No, it is. It's this weird like credentialism,
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with actual creativity or so this is, I find this whole project, the whole Neophyte thing, so reassuring.
Yeah.
Agreed. But like Sarah, it makes me think, well, this is the community I want to be part of. I want to be doing this stuff.
Yeah.
We'll get you hooked up with coders, Sarah, and see what you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like the hope is that as these jams keep going, we can just start bringing more and more people in. And because I know that there are some devs in there that just they're just trying to practice game dev. They don't really have a writing aspiration. They just want to make, like, they want to work on their code.
That's great. I don't really have a coding aspiration.
Yeah,
so.
right. And like, I think it's interesting because you end up getting or at least this was my experience, but I ended up getting quite interested in coding after I started doing these, because I started understanding and talking to the people who were actually making them. And it's interesting because they're really just logic puzzles. It's just like it's logic puzzles with like weird vernacular.
I don't understand why poets aren't interested in code.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you look at good code and it's symmetrical, like a classic poem, right? Like a great lyric poem from the 19th century.
Right. Yeah. It is kind of weird.
Just in terms of form, just the way they look, graphic.
Yeah, right, that's true.
My avatar is flipping out, so it's probably time for me to go.
Okay. Sounds good.
Actually, enough, I have a meeting with a coder inside VR chat.
Really?
In a couple of minutes. Yeah.
Cool. Well, you can go ahead and take off.
I'm gonna try to make as much noise as possible in the next few minutes.
VR chat, if you all, because this guy's built me a classroom in VR chat, and we're gonna discuss, or like a meeting room, and we're gonna discuss how it should be decorated and what functionality it should have.
That's awesome. It's very cool.
Yeah. So we could just make it it could be the Neophyte VR chat. Like hub, right? If people,
Absolutely.
as part of this whole system, if anybody wants like a VR meeting place, this could just be it, right? We just start bringing all this stuff together so that every venue,
absolutely,
every forum has a venue.
Yep, 100%. That's what we should definitely do. I agree with that. Beyond anything I could agree with.
This guy's a genius, and I'm going to admit him to the program for next year. So
cool, awesome, very cool.
He's not a millionaire by then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this was great.
Yeah, this was very good. And remember,
good to see you.
Yeah.
Your avatar bears an eerie resemblance to you.
It smiles too much, though.
Yeah, no, that is the one problem. Let's disable the smiling. Like Michael the robot in A Boy and His Dog.
Oh my God, I forgot about that movie.
When Michael gets killed, Jason Robart says, "Get another Michael from the storeroom and wipe that fucking smile off his face."
Just
from the storeroom and wipe that fucking smile off her face.
So just so the chat knows, I'm going to stick around after these guys leave, and I'm going to respond to some messages.
Yeah, great. This is wonderful. Like I'm so happy. This is
it's awesome.
And, and as you say, right, publishing, you talked about that, and we are well on our way to becoming a publisher of indie narrative games.
That's the hope. Yeah, as soon as possible.
That one way or another will happen.
Yeah.
A couple of different ways it could happen, and I prefer some of them over other ways, but whatever happens, that will happen because it's too obvious a move.
Yeah, it is. Now that we're considered an imprint of a pretty major publication, we should probably figure out how we can like take on this new challenge because it's just too cool. It's just too cool.
It is. It's amazing. It's all paying off. All right, I'm gonna go check out the new Neophyte digs in VR chat.
Hell yeah. Have a good day, Pinckney. Thanks for coming by.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, he was out of here.
All right. Who's still here? Who is still here? We still have Lucky Archer, Programmering, Squish Buff Dave, Toaster Shooter. There may be others. But I wanted to go and answer some of these. I was a little busy managing that whole conversation, so I wanted to see what y'all had to say. Birdcage, one of my company's ARGs, was more or less an SCP. Interesting. That's very cool. You just click on the keycard. Okay, that's referring to the game. I look forward to seeing the spotlight for Insularm Raider. It's a really interesting project. It's a fascinating project. It's so confusing. I love it, and I love Caton, or however you say his name. He said that he really appreciates the way I pronounce it. But yeah, he just seems like a nice guy. He's just a really nice dude, and I just enjoy him, just in every way. And also that he's working for another school means a lot to us, and we should probably take advantage of that, right? So we thought maybe because that game is so different from everybody else's, and it also had nothing to do with the jam and the themes of the jam. I mean, it doesn't seem to me to keep narrative in the forefront. It's very much a classic like move around puzzles game. But it's cool. So, and I'm assuming Toaster says, oh yeah, so Pixel Dailies, yeah, that's right. I should have told them that when they were here. I imagine part of it is higher risk with their ideas. When you're a graduate student, I imagine there are particular expectations that lead people to make less varied ideas. Maybe. It's an interesting point. I think that people do that and they do it for the wrong reason, if that makes sense. Like, part of the unfortunate thing with the MFA is that it becomes as much a social experience as it is a work experience, and it really should be a work experience. That's its primary function, is to get better at writing. Unfortunately, you end up, developing a crush on someone, and you want to write stories that impress them. Or, I mean, I'm not saying this happened to me, but like, this is just the natural state of it. You make friends with people, and you go out to the bar with them, and they say, why were you putting a robot in that story? What the fuck is a robot doing in a story? That's not how it's supposed to be. And then you're not sure how you feel about the other people, and because they don't really go out to bars, but you want to go out to bars on Friday. So then suddenly you start writing stories without robots in them, even though you like robots. You know what I mean? This is the kind of thing that I think becomes a problem in the MFA. And what leads to what you're saying, Toaster, about it being taking less risks. Because the other thing too is that, not with Pinckney, you could never go too far with Pinckney in a story, but with many creative writing professors you can. And what sucks is that you're expected to turn out finished work and not try anything, not fail, because it's fine to fail. That's the whole point of being in school, is to fail. That's the whole damn point. It's everything about it is failing. You know what I mean? Like you do bad on your class, especially in writing. All you're supposed to do is fail. You're just supposed to write and fail and write and fail and write and fail over and over again. But the current structure of it is you get lambasted by your friends. Your professor, gives you these passing glances that, maybe if you had just written something a little safer, that, if you'd been more afraid to fail, then you would have turned out something very mediocre that we could all go, I think this is interesting. You know what I mean? And I don't like that. I would much rather read a crazy story that fails miserably than a boring story. You know what I mean? Like a crazy story that is exciting and wild, and there's, fucking guns and aliens, and the dude is crashing through buildings, but it sucks in terms of structure. Like there's no structure at all. It's just kind of like this zany dude flying around a city with no scenes, no narrative arc, nothing. I would much rather read that because I can actually work with that. I can tell somebody how to do that. Just like, do the modulation of emotion, do the emotional turn, set up the conflict in the scene earlier. Like those are the kinds of things that I can tell you to do. That's how I can help you as a fellow writer. What I can't help you to do is get better at telling a really, really boring story that is semi-autobiographical about your family. Just can't do it. I can't. There's nothing I can say because you're not going to listen to me, because you say, well, my mom did make meatballs like that, and my art captures realism. I'm like, I couldn't give a shit. I couldn't give a shit. It's not what a story is. You think Wes Anderson is like one of the literariest literary directors in Hollywood, and his stories are fucking crazy. They're so weird. More weird shit happens in an hour and a half long movie directed by Wes Anderson than in a 15-page short story by an MFA student. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my big rant. I'm going to go on with what I was saying. He seems like a neat guy. I'm not sure what I could ask, but I will say this. I look forward to seeing the theme poll for the Jam 4. Yeah, I will definitely put it up soon. I wanted to get through the games first. Lucky Archer says, did we play through all of the submissions? Basically, we played through the submissions that I think we can play through. So Insular Raid is going to get, like I said, it's going to get its own stream. Don't Touch Me, I might do a stream for that one. It could be just me doing it, because I kind of want to talk about that game in particular, and it's going to be very hard to do it if we end up in a panel of people. And I want to talk about where that fiction kind of falters, particularly because it's such a delicate and really hard to deal with subject material. It's very, very difficult to deal with. And I feel like I can handle it if it's just me talking to you while I play the game, right? That's something I think I can handle. I think I can talk about, because I can keep it specifically about the fiction, right? I can keep it completely about the underlying structure of the narrative. And so that's kind of why I want to do a stream on just that game. I'm not going to do it today because I'm already way over time, but that's kind of the idea behind that. And then the final game, it's on my screen. Keeps Death as Watch, Act 1. I just know it wasn't submitted for this jam. I know it's something that they've been working on, and because it has there's just no way. There's just so much writing that must have gone into that, and this is a pet project, and we said in our rules that we didn't want pet projects to be submitted to the jam this time. And so I want to play it just because I think it's interesting. I like this guy. I really like Rinzai Gaigen, and I probably totally butchered that. I really like his stuff, and I highly recommend you go and play it, because it's just cool and zany and fucking what? You play as like Grim Reaper, but he's a smoker, and he's kind of weird, and he's dealing with like Egyptian gods and hell, and it's crazy. So it's a cool story, but in the interest of like moving the channel forward to get to the next game jam, we gotta get back to some like traditional published games, like games that are actually published by real publishers, you know, not self-published stuff. We got to get back to some polished stuff so that we can talk about more ideas. So yeah, it's not anything against this game. I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's a really good game, actually. It's almost too good in a way. It's almost too done for it to be a game jam game, right? So that's kind of where I'm at on that. I love wild stuff. Wild stuff is great. It's a heavy subject for sure. It also leads to a lot of questions with stuff like terms of service. Yes, which is why I was thinking maybe I could figure out some way to just like blur the bottom, and then maybe I could read the text, or maybe I could, because then I could self edit it, right? I can not read, and I can control the information that's being presented via the stream, right? So that's something I was thinking about doing for Don't Touch Me. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm thinking. And then he says it's a dense one for, I'm assuming, keeps Death his watch. I was amazed when I was playing. Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, can't get to everything. It's tough. That's why we wanted to get to like 10 submissions. And we played 9 of our 10, and we just, unfortunately, like our last 3, we got one that could violate Twitch terms of service, and 2 games that I know weren't submitted for our jam, like weren't made for our jam, you know? So it's kind of a weird balance. I'm assuming I will eventually try and get to all of these and give them the spotlight that they deserve. But as of now, that's where I'm at. And then what else did I want to say? I wanted to get back to what I think, and this is something I wish Pinckney would have been able to stick around for. But there's one thing I wanted to note on, and I think I want to discuss this with you all. I think what's really interesting about this game jam paired with the Discord is that, and why I think it is succeeding in fueling creativity, is that there's a place for everyone to come gather. They don't have to, but there's a place for everyone to come gather. They can chat. They can come watch the stream to see what other people are doing, to see what is interesting, or what I kind of... They can come and listen to Pinckney, first of all, which I just can't believe he's like volunteering his time to give you classic, you know, fiction education, paired with, you know, kind of his knowledge of games, his relatively, it's not limited knowledge of games, but his, I guess, less technical knowledge of games, right? He understands them on a conceptual level. But I think it's just a really, really cool thing that we kind of have this peppering of various things that you can do paired with this competition, even though nobody is competitive. Nobody's really like, God damn it, I can't believe it. I can't believe that the stream, or that I didn't win most compelling narrative. You know what I mean? Yeah, so yeah. It's just making cool games for a competition, which drives innovation, drives creativity, drives that kind of thing, which I think is a good thing. I think it's really cool. Are the game jam games supposed to be on the shorter side? Not necessarily. It's just that they're supposed to be developed in the time frame that the game jam is announced. Like you can have a little bit of, if you had that game that you were working on for a while and then it fell apart on you, and you wanted to get back to it, like, oh, it fits the theme perfectly, you could bring that in. But for the most part, what I don't want is somebody who's been working on a game for half of a year, then coming into they see on the last day, and I see it a lot, they see on the last day our narrative game jam is still up. Oh God, I have 24 hours, submit, you know, and they just submit the game that they made for some other game jam, you know, and it's not even really focused on narrative. It's not even really focused on like the theme. It doesn't even, you know, it's just clear. It's very clear to me as a judge what is and what is not a game made for our jam, right? Yeah, so that's kind of it. But anyway, I gotta go. So thank you all for coming. I think that was a really fun stream. That was a really fun jam, and the next one's starting pretty quick, so get ready. I'm not. But yeah, nice hanging out. See ya.